Hi everyone, it's Joy from the Denver, Colorado area, and I am so excited to show you this wonderful project. This card here, when you open it up, it has a little surprise. Let's go ahead and open it up. So it opens it up, and then you have a sliding gift card holder mechanism. So I'm going to show you how you can make this today. I'm going to break it down to the steps. It is actually relatively easy, even though it may look complicated to you. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, you're going to need some pieces. You're going to need a card base of Early Espresso paper. This is the Early Espresso cardstock. And it is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet, which half of an A2 size cardstock. So this is 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches, and it is scored right here at this 5.5 inch mark. So this is just a regular standard card base. You will go ahead and you will fold this in half. At the crease, you can use a bone folder to get a nice crisp crease. So that is your first piece. Your second piece is a layer piece. This is Balmy Blue. So we have Early Espresso and now Balmy Blue. And this piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, so that it gives that nice even 1/8 of an inch border around. So you have your card base, you have layer 1. You also need a piece for an inside layer, and that one is 3 3/4 inches, 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and then that has been scored 1 inch from the top end. So 1 inch right there. So that has a score line there. So we have that piece, and we have another inside piece for the pocket. So the pocket piece for the inside is 3 1/2 inches by 5 inches, and then it has been scored 1/2 inch on each end. So let's go ahead and score those with our bone folder, just so we have our piece ready to go. So there you have that piece. And if you have our paper trimmer or one like it, you have these wonderful score lines here. So that is how I did it. My lighter blade is my scoring blade. My darker blade is my cutting blade. So we're just focusing on the scoring blade for the moment. So you can just put this edge right at the 1/2 inch mark, and you can score, and then you can flip it around and do the 1/2 inch mark on the other side. The same with this one. You can just lay this piece right here, go all the way over to the 1 inch mark and score it. Or you also have markings on the other side as well. So that is how those pieces are scored. You will also need a piece of Designer Series paper. And I have chosen the Country Woods paper. So the Country Woods paper with this wonderful wood grain is 2 3/4 inches by 3 1/2 inches. You also need, let's see if I can get this here. Okay, you also need a piece of Very Vanilla. Oh yes, Very Vanilla for the inside pockets. So the colors we're using are Early Espresso, Balmy Blue, and Very Vanilla. So this Very Vanilla piece is 2 5/8 inches by 3 3/8 inches. All the measurements is on a tutorial that you can get by a minimal order. So just ask me what the qualifying order is if you're seeing this video at a later date. So 2 inches by 2 3/4 inches of Very Vanilla. You also need a piece of Very Vanilla that is 1 inch by 1 7/8 inch. So we have all these pieces, and then you need another early espresso piece that is 1 1/8 inches by 2 inches. So if you figured it out, these two pieces will layer on top of each other like so. So you need those pieces, and then for the inside, just to bring a little bit of the outside to the inside, you can grab strips of your designer series paper and your balmy blue. And this one just happens to be 1/2 inch by 3 3/4, so that it goes with our inside piece here. And then this piece is just a very skinny strip of, it is basically 1/4 inch by 3 3/4. So, you know, you can make your strips any width you wish. Just make sure that they are 3 3/4 inches long so that they will go onto your inside sliding piece. So there we have our pieces, and we're going to start making our project. So to save a little time, I've gone ahead and die cut, but let me first show you the wonderful bundle that we are using. This is an online exclusive bundle. This is the framed scenes bundle, and you have these 5 cute little framed scenes, and then you get these cute little dies that come with it in the bundle. This is one of the more economical bundles that you can get. It doesn't have a lot of dies with it. So you have this frame that also will emboss some kind of wood grain into it. And then you have these 2 ovals. You have a smaller one, a larger one, and then you have this just cuts out into the paper. It does not cut this shape. It will just cut some wood grain elements out of your paper. So you have these 2. So we are using the smaller oval and the frame today. So your frame, when you put it on your piece of designer series paper, it will come out like this, and you will just have the tiniest little amount left over. But if you are a little nervous about only having that much, you can make this piece slightly larger. All right, so that's already been die cut for us. And you probably can't see it very well, but it does have these little green embossing kind of pieces. Since this is thin, it did cut out slightly, but it didn't like ruin the piece. So we have this frame here, and then I created a little template out of my piece of cardstock, and then I measured on my die and marked it with a permanent marker, and then I marked my piece here. I have used this piece several times, so it's getting a little ugly looking, but this was 1 11/16 from this edge over, and this one is 1 5/16 from this edge over to get the center marks. So then I used that to put onto my piece. This again is the 2 5/8 by 3 3/8 piece. So I placed this on here like this, and then I could go ahead and place my oval to make my die cut, and then this is the finished frame matte piece that I came up with. So that's how I got that, so that you can create yours as well. Let's put some of these things away here. I also brought in, because I wanted a sentiment. This does not have any sentiments in this stamp set. So I brought in a birthday sentiment from the Sketched Butterflies. So the wishing you a beautiful birthday I brought in for this. I also brought in, to emboss my balmy blue layer back here, I brought in the beautiful exposed brick 3D embossing folder. So you have the framed scenes bundle, the exposed brick embossing folder, and the sketched butterflies for this project. So there we have, those are ready to go. Now let's start doing a little stamping. First off, we want to take this very vanilla piece, which happens to be 2 inches by 2 3/4 inches. And we want to take our Early Espresso ink pad and this lighthouse stamp here. Now, I found that I had a bunch of extra rubber here, so I took a very sharp pair of scissors and made very straight cuts, and I trimmed this down. Those of you who have been with Stampin' Up! A really long time remember when we had to trim our own stamps. Now they do come die cut for us, like this one is, and like I said, this one had a whole bunch of extra, like this one does here. This one doesn't stamp too well, I mean too badly, but this one I was getting a lot of stamp garbage from this extra rubber, so I just trimmed that down. And we are just getting some ink here, making sure that all of our areas of our rubber is coated with ink. And we are stamping this onto this piece right about here. We're just going to hold that there for a second. Let the ink absorb into the paper. There we go. Now we have a beautiful image, and we're going to go ahead and stamp a couple more pieces. Now this piece, I'm going to go ahead and trim this before I stamp it, in order to make the corners to where they're a little less bulky. I went ahead, be careful not to cut too close to this fold line, but I went ahead and I just cut the corners off to give a mitered corner, so that there was a little less bulkiness inside of our card. So let's go ahead, and then we want this image, which is the bridge image. We want it to be stamped kind of in the bottom right corner, but this part is going to be folded under, so we need to make sure that we stamp in the bottom right corner where that fold line is. So just making sure I have enough ink, and we're going to stamp this right on the bottom, but we want this stamp to be lined up on the folded edge there. So right about here, we're just stamping our image, holding it for just a second to let the ink absorb into the paper, and lifting off. And I did purposely stamp that right onto the bottom there, so that it kind of grounds it a little bit, so it doesn't look too much like it's floating. All right, now we have one last little bit of stamping. We're going to take our 1 inch by, let me measure 1 inch by 1 7/8 inch piece of Very Vanilla, and we're going to take our Wishing You a Beautiful Birthday from our Sketched Butterflies stamp set. So this card would be wonderful for anybody who likes lighthouses or for, you know, your favorite fella. So let's go ahead and see if I can get this straight. And there we have the Wishing You a Beautiful Birthday. So we have all of our pieces here, all of our stamped pieces here. Now we're going to take the lighthouse stamp. And I have a piece that I've already started on so that you don't have to watch me do this forever. Well, actually, it doesn't take that long. Anyway, let's go ahead, bring in a scratch piece of paper and a blending brush along with our pecan pie ink, and we're going to give this just a little sepia tone here. That made a very lovely image without having to color in that lighthouse. So this is a piece I've used this scratch piece I've used a couple times before. We're just going to use this again. I am getting ink, loading up my blending brush. This is a small blending brush. This will work a little bit better for our purposes today, with the smaller head. And I'm going to go in, get some of that ink off so that I don't get big blotchy marks. And then I'm going to gently come in and be careful about how much ink you're adding, because you can always add ink, but you can't take it away. So we're just getting some ink around here to give this just a nice sepia tone around the edges of that lighthouse. We also need to do this on our embossed Balmy Blue piece. I have gone ahead and run it through the embossing folder, but this exposed brick is a really fun folder. It gives you lots of fun texture. So you have areas where it has, like, you can really see the bricks, and then you have little splotchy areas in between. So I'm going through and putting some pecan pie blended ink onto the areas that have the brick. I'm going ahead and I'm just going over those areas. Again, you can add more ink, but you cannot take it away. So this is just giving this background just a little more interest. Okay, so there we just kind of, you know, grunged it up, if you will, just a little bit to give our texture and our background just a little bit more interest. So let's get all of that out of the way. Now we can start doing some assembly, I believe. Yes, we can start doing some assembly. So now we want to take our pieces. We have our frame piece and we have our matte piece. And I love lots of dimension. So this card here, you would have to probably put this in a padded envelope to mail this with all the dimension that I have on here. But it is a wonderful card, and it has a gift card in it after all. So why not go ahead and spend a little extra on the postage, or just hand deliver it. So I'm also using the foam adhesive strips. They do have a slightly higher profile than our Stampin' Dimensionals, but I am going to use that because it just works really well for this frame here. So they do come in strips. There is two packages of strips in one package. And I have gone ahead and cut a couple of them to fit. So I'm just going to do on the sides here first, kind of in the center. So I have these two sides here. We're just putting those down. Make sure they're sticking well. And then I have a couple more because you don't want saggy parts. So a couple more strips, top and bottom. Okay, there we have those. Now, a little trick you've probably seen before, but I'm going to just bring this up and make some little wings or rabbit ears. This will help me place things without committing too much to all this sticky adhesive. So let's go ahead and place this down. This is basically the same size as this frame. See if I can get these all down without them showing on the front side. So your corners are sticking where we've pulled up that paper. And now we're just going to pull those tabs and then make sure it sticks down really well. So there we have that. Now we're going to build the rest of this. So now we need a couple of dimensionals behind this just because that's the way Joy likes it. You could absolutely not do this part, but I really do like the little corners to be done there. So I am bringing in, I think, some small dimensionals here. Some of the mini dimensionals. And I think I need half one. So I need some really skinny pieces. I could use, actually, you know what? I'm just going to cut some strips from here. So I just need some small little strips. So there we have those. We have little small strips here that we are going to place. We can get them together here. Okay, there we go. So we just need some small little strips. Pulling off, I'm going to pull off the paper off of one side here. Well, they're fiddly. You might need tweezers for this. Just one at the top and one at the bottom. If I can get it here. Okay, now we're going to pull those papers off. I think I'm going to bring in my Take Your Pick tool for this. And we're just going to start pulling some papers off, the top papers off, so that we can attach this to our matted frame. Okay, now I like things to be not completely centered, so I am bringing this up here, and I want my lighthouse to be slightly over. See if I'm doing this right. It's not stuck down yet, so we're just pulling that up a little bit. I want this to go like this. So you did need to just have a tiny little edge right there. That's why we just needed the little skinny edge strip. You could do yours however works for you. And we're going to bring in and we're going to attach these pieces together. So bring in some liquid glue. This is the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, or the green glue, people like to call it. I'm going to bring in my tweezers so that I can hang on to that without getting my fingers too horribly inky. And this is just a tiny little border, like a 16th inch border around this piece. Oops, it's sliding. But that is the beauty of the multi-purpose liquid glue. You have a little bit of wiggle room to wiggle things around. All right, so there we have those pieces, that piece, that piece. Okay, now I think we need to attach some fun twine. This is going to be the linen thread, which is a great multi-purpose item for your cards. It goes with pretty much anything. And we need, let's see, we need some glue dots here. So, about where? About how far up? About that far up. Okay. So we are just putting a glue dot and another glue dot opposite. Let's find another glue dot here. Another glue dot on the other side, about the same place. And we are taking our linen thread. We're attaching it. I'm not even cutting this, not even measuring. We're just doing it like this. We're kind of going at an angle. So that one's I need another glue dot because that one's just a little too low, a little too high. Or actually that one can be the low one. And we'll go up a little bit with this one, but we need one just up a little bit. So we need another glue dot right beside that one. Because we are doing a crisscross here. This one's going to go here, I believe. And then we're going to end up down here. Yes. So that is how we do it. And we're going to cut that. And there we have our fiber, our twine, our linen thread attached here with a little crisscross in the middle. And it's time now to start assembling. So because we have this piece with our twine, we can now attach these two pieces together. I am just going to use some of the multi-purpose liquid glue because it is right here on my area. And yes, looks like I got a little extra glue on there. Well, this is the gloss mat, it will wipe right off. And make sure your opening is at the bottom because this is a tent fold style card. And we are just attaching this. And now we can attach this piece. So we do need some more of these dimensionals because you've got a difference between this, the backing of this and the backing of the matted piece. So you do need to accommodate for that. So we're just bringing in mini dimensionals. Just going to slide this one under there for a minute. See if I can slide these others under as well. Well, that one works out fine. And maybe slide this one underneath here. There we have that. And we can put just a little bit of glue right here for good measure. All right, let's go ahead and get these papers off. Come on. Sometimes they want to come off really well, sometimes not so much. And now we can put our pieces on. Here, let me go ahead and get the birthday one on first. So again, bringing in my mini dimensionals because that's what I've used on the rest of my project. So I might as well continue with that. Again, taking the papers off. The Take Your Pick tool is a really fabulous tool. If you don't have one yet, you absolutely need it. This is going to go on here like this. It's going to be centered. It's going to be close to the bottom, but not quite. Make sure it's centered. And then this piece is going to go on top here. Lining it up with this one. And all of this is together. I just saw a little dimensional piece poking through, so I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and just push that back a little bit so it's not sticking out. There we have our front. We do need a little bit of bling here, so I do have the neutral matte dots, which are also an online exclusive item. And we're going to just pull this out. I do slit the side of my package so that I can pull these out. And I'm going to take this end of my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to just grab one of these, and I'm just going to put it right here. So we just need one. Just adds just a little extra finishing touch. Now we have our outside done, we can start completing our inside. First off, we need to decorate this piece. So we're going to, again, use our multi-purpose liquid glue. Just do a little thinnish bead of glue down here. And another little one on this piece as well. So you don't have to add both the blue. Oh, I am going to bring in another little item. This is a fine tip glue bottle I found online. I have loaded it with the multi-purpose liquid glue, and this has a metal fine tip that lets me get a little thinner strip of glue here, which can be very, very helpful. I'm getting a lot of glue. If you get too much glue, you can always wipe it off with a tissue or just run your finger down it and wipe it off on scratch paper, which is what I'm going to do right now. All the funny little things that us crafters do. So I am going to put my piece. This is just a scrap piece, and this is another scrap piece, and we are just placing them on our piece that we have scored 1 inch from the top. Now's when I bring in the heavy duty stuff. This is the tear and tape. So the tear and tape is kind of extra strong so that it will our mechanism will have a little extra adhesive strength. So it is really cool. You just get it where you want it and then you just tear it. No cutting of scissors, it's a little faster. I also want to do that on my pocket piece. I want to just put some right along that folded edge, not too close, of my pocket piece. So we're just tearing that. And we're getting our, I am going to go ahead and pull this all the way off for this piece. If the paper is not coming separate from the glue, just rub it down a little bit. It is pressure release. You can also bring in your take your pick tool. That might help you as well. Now let's open up our card and make sure I get this right. Yes, I had to double check my other sample. This goes right here. You have to center this. This will go right here on the edge here. So you have that piece, and now you can put this piece on. This piece, we can make little wings for this piece. Little wing here, and a little wing on the opposite side. This, you have to make sure that this slides up over this. Let me show you. It's sliding right in underneath the flaps. So that has to be wrapped around that, and then this has to go all the way to the bottom, leaving just a tiny little border around. So that's how you get your sliding pocket there. It's actually very easy to do. You could, if you wish, go ahead and put adhesive, the tear and tape on the bottom here. I don't bother with that. That's kind of a personal preference. So now we have our sliding mechanism, and we can, we could take, and I'll show you, just slip the card. I have basically some washi tape on the back of this here. You could use a glue dot, you could use whatever you wish, but you put your card in here with some kind of a temporary stick. And then you have this beautiful gift card holder that anyone would love to get. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was very informative, and that you will go ahead and make one of these sliding gift card holders for yourself.